Well, during a photo op at the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, Trump warned North Korea, stating North Korea best not make any more threats, quote now, to the United States because they will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen. Now, these remarks came hours after reports that North Korea escalated their nuclear program. North Korea has threatened to send missiles to Guam, causing what some might say a major problem. Now, joining us to discuss the president's comments and more, we welcome our political commentator and the owner of Retrovision Media, Lee Bynes, and good to have you.
Good to be back.
As we were talking last week, we were talking about what the president says and how the president says actually triggers worldwide attention. These comments now are very stern, and some people feel as though it's over the top.
I'd say the word I'd use would be incendiary, simply because of the fact that what most people may not realize is that the conflict between the United States and North Korea goes back 70 years. The war that we had with them never really ended. That war was stopped through an armistice. An armistice means like, look, we just agree to stop shooting at each other. Hence, we have this DMZ that's been set up in effect for the demilitarized zone, has been in effect for the length of that time. All of the preceding presidents up until now have found a way to keep the rhetoric from getting that stern, if you will. But Donald Trump, in my estimation, has crossed the line by setting up a red line of his own by, making the statement that if North Korea continues to threaten the United States or threaten the U.S. allies in the region, that you would get this fire and
well, let's talk
fury.
about the other elephant in the room. That's the actual rhetoric comes based on classified information that was allegedly leaked. Now, you've got some people who are saying the president can declassify whenever he wants to declassify, but you have other people who are saying that this is something that he spoke specifically against in his campaign.
Well, he's been speaking about the difficulty with leaks, not only throughout his campaign, but throughout his entire administration thus far. For him to retweet classified information completely sets things on its head. But the point I want to make right now, and one of the reasons why we're talking about this, is because we're at an extremely heightened level of tension with North Korea. North Korea, in my estimation, our analysis bears out the fact that they are not going to back down on this. Pyongyang Kim Jong-un has determined that the only way to keep the United States at bay is to have a nuclear program, and a very, very strong, robust one. He just crossed Donald Trump's red line when he made that statement of fire and fury. About 35 minutes after he made that statement, North Korea was threatening Guam. There's a tremendous, we have a lot of military assets in Guam right now. The North Koreans have the capabilities of striking it. Whether they'll do that, make good on that threat, is difficult to say, but it put the president in an awkward position of now what does he do? And we don't know where that goes from here. I can say this, though, based on my own analysis, I find that North Korea has the upper hand in this, 100%, because South Korea, Seoul, is the 16th largest city in the world. Population of a little bit more than 20 million. They are right next door, I mean less than Westchester County away, with conventional weapons targeted upon them. If the United States decides to strike preemptively, North Korea will respond, and they will respond with everything they have. And South Korea would be placed in a position where they have to finish and or fight that war.
Let me move out of foreign policy for a minute.
Sure.
I want to talk about local policy. Because one of the things the president did talk about was how he was going to address opioid use and the use of opiates, talking about pretty much that law enforcement will be the abiding factor in this.
Well, you know what? When he made that statement yesterday that he was going to go strong with law enforcement, he was going to look for longer sentences. I just kind of bristled at that, but I wasn't surprised because Jeff Sessions about 2 weeks ago mentioned the same thing, and that seems to be the way that the president is going to handle this opiate crisis. Why I find that a little bit difficult to swallow is because he put together a commission headed up by Governor Christie, and Governor Christie came out with recommendations that this was a health care crisis. It needed to be handled that way. But Donald Trump's approach goes back 30 years, talking about the just say no, don't do dope from the beginning. I think that's an antiquated idea, a failed idea to go back to the so-called war on drugs. We've seen the outcome of that. Rather than find ways to get these people in treatment, we're going to put them in a position where now they're going to be criminals. So now not only are these folks addicted, but now they have a criminal record to go with it. So even if they do find a way to get themselves together later on, now you can't find a job because you got a felony drug conviction. And I just see that to be extremely disturbing, and I don't see it being positive, moving in the right direction. If anything, I would think that the president would do well by going after the drug companies, the big pharma, who put this stuff into the medical's mainstream. I would also go after a lot of the doctors and the pill mills who negligently allow these people to get hooked on this stuff without finding an avenue for them getting them right into treatment. See, after you have provided treatment to someone for their pain, and you realize these people have gone a little bit too far, isn't there a responsibility on the medical provider to get this person some treatment rather than just leave them out into the street and they'll find their own ways to remedicate themselves? And we know how that works.
Give us your take on the Senate. Obviously, it took time to take a break with healthcare crisis or the healthcare.
If we got a minute, could I just jump on that really fast? Because last week we talked about the president could allow this Obamacare to implode. How he intended to do that was simply don't pay. Right now, the background on that story is that 2 years ago, when Barack Obama put the subsidies in place so people low income could afford to actually access health care in the first place, the House sued the Barack Obama administration. Barack Obama lost. The judge was going to let that lawsuit go through, and then the Obama administration filed an appeal against it. So that lawsuit was stayed until the next administration, which is Donald Trump. The only thing Donald Trump has to do to let Obamacare fail is just don't make that next payment that's made in, I believe, at the end of September. Right now, if those payments aren't made to the insurance companies, they will continue to leave the marketplace. People in this community and throughout the country will start getting letters that let them know that either you no longer qualify for Obamacare, or if you do and you are in the individual market, your premiums are going to be going up, your co-payments are going to be going up, and your deductibles are going to be going up sky high, and that's going to create a significant amount of disaster. Now, there are two senators. It's a bipartisan effort. I believe it's Patty Murray out of Washington and Lamar Alexander out of Virginia. Mm-hmm. They're getting together and trying to put something together to make sure that those subsidies are given out to the insurance companies to keep what's coming from happening. However, again, like you said, everybody's on vacation.
Now, yeah, and let me cut in here. With
absolutely.
The vacation going there, how much do you think the White House is doing a lot of campaigning to really get this bill passed?
I don't think that they're doing anything right now. This whole big brouhaha with the fact that the president is on vacation. The president is not on vacation. The president is in defense mode because he's worried about the Mueller investigation that's going on around him. He's worrying about news reports that came out that they had to tamp down really fast about Mike Pence and his shadow campaign that's been running in the background, and I can't think that with that going on, the president's sinking polling numbers. He's down to, I believe, 73% of the population do not trust him. So with the credibility gap going on, what we talked about earlier in terms of the Senate, his own GOP are starting to break ranks with him. They're starting to see an opening, and they're starting to think that, well, maybe this president is so out of step with the rest of the country, actually, quite frankly, with the rest of the world, that they need to have options for themselves. And that's one of the reasons why you will see people gearing up to primary this man.
Lee Bynes, that's why we bring you here every week. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Our local commentator, Lee Bynes. Taking a quick break. Listen, when we return, we'll be back with more shows. Stay with us. Coming right back.